Is the town hall haunted in Middleborough, Massachusetts? Well, some people who live in town say yes, and they say it has to do with the building's history.
The things of what they call haunted houses, ghosts, etc., all of these experiences that people experience around the world, which they have no explanation for, that easily we can understand the role of the jinn in this matter.
Okay, they live amongst us, they have families, there are Muslim jinn, Buddhist jinn, Hindu jinn, there are good jinn, bad jinn. Not every jinn is a shaitan.
The word jinn comes from jan, meaning to hide or conceal. They see us, yet they're hidden from view. There's even a chapter in the Quran entitled The Jinn, so their existence is only denied by a deviant few.
وَالْجَانَّ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ مِنْ نَارِ السَّمُومِ.
Now they coexist in a cloaked parallel life in relative calm.
Rasulullah said what? He said, Maghrib time comes, he said, don't send your children outside. And Maghrib is the time when the jinns are basically released.
Because the jinn were able to do things that they were not from the normal things that human beings could do, people attributed divinity to them. People attributed to them the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and people eventually performed acts of worship towards them.
My father was actually a Satanist high priest, so he did all kinds of evil things. He sexually assaulted me. He took me to satanic rituals. My father actually used me as a baby breeder, which means I was impregnated to carry a child so that the Satanists would have a baby to sacrifice to the devil.
And not every shaitan is a jinn, because we have shayateen from the humans and we have shayateen from the jinn. And we have believers from the jinn and we have disbelievers from the jinn.
Some fools make deals with devils for gain, like the voodoo shaman or evil witch. Muslims are forbidden from evil magic, and Iblis loves leading sinners to hell's ditch. Malevolent demons sometimes enter and possess humans unlawfully out of revenge or hate. They are exorcised by the Quran, which they hate listening to.
They would act, a bit sort of dizzy, or they would act, then they would start grunting, making funny sort of noises, and then they would basically have sometimes, the saliva coming out of their mouths, and they would get knocked out. Sometimes they would bite on their tongues, and then after that they would wake up and they're not themselves. Now you're talking to them, they're not themselves.
The jinn, as we talked about dreams before, the jinn are able to come into our dreams. They're able to give us bad dreams, etc., and to implant ideas and thoughts which we might think are our own.
This person who is engaged in magic is a servant of the shaitan. A person cannot become a magician until he reaches the highest form of disbelief from which there is rarely any return. The shaitan promises him riches.
Mankind and jinn have free will. They have the ability to decide whether or not they want to do right or wrong.
As there is good mankind, there is bad mankind. The jinn are exactly the same. You will see them in a different form. They shape in spiders, they shape in snakes, they shape in human beings.
Jinns are weak against pious believers, so trust and put your faith in Allah to avoid their harm.
Then Iblis replied, he said, okay, I will lead them all astray except your servants among them who are sincere.
They're also naturally afraid. They're naturally afraid of humans. Naturally the jinn are afraid of you, but when you start to fear them, and if I give you any advice, if you take anything today, is honestly the least you fear the jinn, the more successful you will be bi'idhnillahi ta'ala in dealing with them. And the more you fear them, the more trouble they give you. So what weapons do we have against the shaitan, against the evil eye, against magic, against the jinn? What weapons do we have? The book of Allah is our most powerful weapon. The Quran is a cure for every illness, whether it's related to jinn or whether it's related to something else.